about 2 or 3 years, and then my stepfather took me on a trip around the Rocky Mountain region as a driller on an oil well. So I finally decided to come back in 2019. I moved to flight school and a corporation from Colorado to Wyoming, and been here 3 years, that's a little over 3 years now. And the thing about the schools today that bothers me the most is that they are not preparing children for life. I've hired flight instructors that are 2-year college graduates, can't spell, can't do a simple math problem. How can they teach, when you should start descending your airplane down to the airport if they can't do the math themselves? And they can't write a coherent sentence. I'll ask them, okay, well, write me a report about what happened. You can't read it. It doesn't make any sense. And I think that one of the big things that we need to do is just what it says right over there on my sign. We need to stress fundamental education. We need to teach people all of the skills that they're going to need to be successful in any life they choose to follow. It doesn't matter. When I got out of high school, I wanted to be an engineer. That's why I joined the Navy, so I could go to college on the GI Bill. I've never seen the inside of an engineering classroom, much less gotten a job as an engineer, because I went an entirely different direction. I worked for the California Highway Patrol for 20 years. And even then, there were times when you'd meet somebody that they could not express themselves, much less anything else, and it just made it very difficult to communicate with them. And so, we need to get back to fundamental education. That's just all there is to it. Now, along with that comes these things such as books in the library that I wouldn't even think about letting my children read until, when they get to be 18, 19 years old, they go to college, all kinds of time to get themselves immersed in that kind of nonsense, if they want. But not K through 12, okay? Has no place. In terms of the school board itself, I don't have any children in school here, so I don't get to hear any of the stories that some of these other people hear from their kids about, well, what's your pronouns? Who cares? I've got a little picture on, I forget if it's on my Facebook or one of the other social media things, but it's got a picture of a C-17 cargo plane and then one of my little trainers sitting in front of it. And the caption says, "Pronouns do not trump education." And this is why. Because, I hear all about kids that wind up at college that they have to take a year of remedial classes so that they can do college level work. When I went to school, I did extra math and science classes my junior and senior year so that I could be ready to go to college and be an engineer. Didn't use much of it, but that's not the point. The other thing that I think we need to stress to kids is that they don't have to decide when they're 14 or 15 years old what they're going to do with their life. They have no concept of what is available to them. Okay? But they need to have a basic education that, like I said, will enable them to succeed no matter what they do. That's my platform. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, I have a webpage, Elliott with 2 L's and 2 T's, Arthur at .org, or at just .org, and then I've got a Facebook page, and that one's really lengthy, Elliott Arthur for Albany County School Board, that's a bit long. And then if you have any questions, I've got business cards up here with my phone number and all of those social media things on it. Feel free to take one. If you have a question, give me a call. Okay? Thank you.
I'm Teri Jo Gillum, and I've been in Laramie for, 15 years. I've had a business for 13 doing accounting for small businesses across the county. I also do the books for the Albany County Fire District number 1. You guys are in number 2. I've done them for 9 years. That's how I know about public funds and how they knowledge of, because there's 6 different fire departments within the county, that to me, I always say that they're one pair of pants, but they're all the different little pockets, and the schools are the exact same ways. I have been involved fighting the school board for 2 years. I was there when Grace Smith was arrested. I was literally at the school. I've been fighting against mandates, wanting parents' choice, and the experience that I have for the last 2 years with the school board has just downright ticked me off. And because they don't listen to parents, and I have a 2nd grader, and we started school in COVID, and it was awful. And he reads like a kindergartner, and it angers me that there's not the resources to help them, there's not the knowledge. I've also gotten complaints from teachers that that the admin is controlling the ability for the teachers in the classrooms, and I don't think that's fair. So I want to fight for the teachers to be able to creatively teach our kids the way that they learn. Was it you that said it in one of the forums that people learn 3 ways?
That's exactly
one of 3 ways. And teachers don't have the ability to be able to teach those different ways, and they should be. So, what else do you want to know? I'm on Facebook under Gillum for Grassroots. I also have, it's called Donor Box. It's the donorbox.com/Gillum for Grassroots is my webpage. And if you have any questions, you can come talk to me.
Thank you. There you go.
Hi, I'm Phoebe Newman. So I have 3 children. One has already graduated from Albany High School, and I have currently 2 in high school now. I used to be a foster parent with my husband, Brandon Newman. We have witnessed and tried helping many foster kids, after school, sitting at the table, long hours and nights, teaching them how to read, write, math, spell, you name it. Some were success and some were not. We are still in contact with a few of those foster children. One, we say we adopted her, but we really didn't, but she's our daughter, who lives back home in Kansas. I've lived here since 2020, and I am a home health aide, also a CNA level 2. I advocate for my patients, and I will advocate for the parents, the teachers, and the students. I believe one of these guys said something about the mandates. I do not support that at all. Your mask mandates or your COVID vaccine mandates. Absolutely not. Parents should have a choice in the matter of that. Do I think that the parents should have a right to say what we teach? I do. Depending on the student, they have to be accountable. Depending on the subject. If they want to take higher classes in math, they have to have those other skills behind it and such. I am for more classes for middle school and high school. We need more classes to set up our students for the future. Blue collar courses, meaning engineering, plumbing, CNA classes, which I know they started in high school. The hard part is just getting someone to teach it. I know they have a welding program, but half the time, talking to our oldest daughter, Rebecca, she said they sat around a lot. They didn't get a lot of hands-on. So we need to bring more of that to our schools, in my opinion, that will actually help the state of Wyoming. Any questions?
Yeah, we'll take
Okay.
And once again, I forgot to mention, if y'all do want to reach out to me, it's just ID Cohen. You can either just call the shop Get a hold of me, I answer the phone 24/7.
No worries. Well, it's great to be back to Rock River. My name is Sandi Rees. I have deep roots in the community, having been in Laramie since 1965. I left the community, moved around the world with my husband in the military, and we returned to Wyoming to raise our children here. Over the years, I am a Laramie graduate, a UW graduate with a Bachelor's of Science in Agricultural Communications, Master's Studies in Adult Education, and along those lines, I have been a teacher. I taught adult education and adult basic ed, GED, English as a second language, and workplace literacy. Because we were moving, I found myself frequently out of work, so very pragmatically decided I would be a substitute teacher. Did that for many years, and so I taught everything from K through 12, all the subjects. It was very interesting, very enlightening. We came back to Laramie, and this is where my children have been raised. My oldest son came out to Rock River School for middle school and high school. It was a wonderful opportunity, and I'm so grateful that we had a school of choice that we could bring our kids here. While I am a college graduate, I am a huge proponent of the trades, the career and technical education, because my father had an 8th grade education, and I grew up with that blue-collar lifestyle. And I see these kids being forced into a college track and missing out on some incredibly lucrative opportunities in the trades, the workforce, and so it's vital that we do expand those. But of course, Teri Jo mentioned it was largely the mask mandate and COVID that brought us into the fight, because we simply were distraught that the school board totally ignored us, did not listen to us, would not recognize our valid concerns, and forced the masking, the quarantines, the suspensions on our children, would not listen to the experts and the data that we brought forward. And we saw the way that the current school board treats their constituents. Because let's face it, a parent is a child's first teacher. See?
Usually I'm the crier. I made it through it.
And so,
It's because I didn't talk about mine. Yes, you did.
but that brings us back to the fact that we need to see a restoration of academic excellence into the classroom. We need to bring the focus back to reading, writing, and arithmetic. We've got to get our focus back on the foundational education of math, English, science, history, civics. Our children are not learning civics. They're learning to loathe the country that we live in. And so CRT and social emotional learning, which is the delivery mechanism for so many of the political ideologies, we need to be very concerned for it. And as a group, we have come to call many of those issues the distractions. Because let's realize, if we would put our focus on the academics, there wouldn't be the time or the need to be worrying about students' pronouns or how they feel about something. A good teacher can walk into a classroom, check the ideology at the door, and they come in, and they're the subject matter expert, and they're there to teach that child, and that child the information, and the students in the classroom have the important role of learning. We can make it be respected, warm, welcome, an inclusive environment while we focus on the very important job of educating our children to go forth and be workplace ready, successful, whether it's college, the trades, going into some of the other professions. We need to support that, and that's where we're at. And we're reaching out to the folks in the community because Laramie is a very liberal community and has ignored many of the folks out here, whether it's Centennial or Rock River. And we recognize that the folks out here need to be validated because you have concerns, you have questions, and so we are here to represent that voice because we want to bring the constituency of parents back into the equation of education.
All right, and I'm Leo Swope, and as you can see, as we're going down the line, we try to bring in a vast, different background to what we want to do here. That's why we're asking, elect this whole slate in. We are here about education, top to bottom. Education is the most important part. And I don't know how many out here in 9th grade, did you know what you were going to do, and are you doing that now? I really doubt it. So my whole thing is, you know, don't educate the kids for what they think they want to do. Educate them for what life is going to throw at them in the end. Because if we don't do that, that's why we're running into issues we see now. They have to be able to adapt. They have to be able to work out in the, they have to have that drive for work. But give you a little bit of history about myself. I worked, first of all, I have my bachelor's degree in education. Okay, so I went to be a teacher because I knew I could be creative and educate students and do that. What I'm hearing from teachers, they don't have the ability to do that because they have instructional facilitators, for example, that they have to pull all this data. The teachers have to collect all this data. Then they have to go into these meetings and they have to be, okay, this is what works, so you need